Nigeria is a large country of about 140 million people with over 250 different ethnic groups. However, the general language of communication in Nigeria is English. And that's why we communicate in our schools, government, and private bodies. This is fast becoming a source of worry as our children and wards do not understand or neither can they communicate in their mother tongue. Joining us on the show is the first Nigerian to bag a PhD in philosophy. She was a senior lecturer at the University of Lagos and the chief executive officer of Center for African Culture and Development, Professor Sophie Oluwole. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Now, ma'am, we really wanted to bring you on the show because there have been issues of the fact that our culture, our history, and our language. The fact that there's been a debate on this couch several times on the fact that, oh, are we educated? Should we be educated in our indigenous languages? Yeah. Should we be speaking our language in our schools? Or should we copy the models of other countries like maybe France or Japan, where they're teaching these things in their indigenous language? Or can we still make the best use of what we have right now to become more informed and more educated? So we thought, you know what, the only professor, only you can come and advise us appropriately what's the future of us concerning language and development in this.
My problem is, how do I explain to you? I'm speaking a foreign language.
Jesus.
So how can I explain?
So, but that's
English is not our language. How can I explain your culture to you in a foreign language? I'll give you an example. I was in Germany and I gave a photographer my films to publish for me. So after giving me, he said, Madam, I'm sorry, I don't want to insult you. Why are you black? I have to cool my temper. I said, what color are you? He said, I'm white. You are white. The shirt is, you are not white. It is your shirt that is white.
Yes.
He said, that is what they call us. So what is your color? When you have the answer, I will answer your question. So I'm speaking English. Okay. And I want to speak Yoruba culture. How do I do it?
Go ahead. You're free. You're free to speak the language you choose to speak on the show. But there's always a confusion, Satman, on how can we develop in this part of the world if our educational standard is still
Let me add to
the way it is. Yes, Nima.
Some people have criticized those of us advocating that, the English language as a form of education for our children is not communicating well enough. Yeah. And some people find it impossible to switch back to where we are from by using our indigenous languages in the year that we are in the 21st century that we are now. How possible is it, and to achieve that aim of drastically changing our education system to suit the needs that we have as Africans? Yeah. How possible is it that when we switch, we can still achieve that in 2017?
I enjoy your explanation. Who are these we you are talking about? We, who are you? Nigerians. I come from a village, in Ondo State. 75% of the people don't understand English. They are talking. Who are you, the we? Who want to stitch back? You are the ones who have moved out. The majority of Nigerians have not moved to English. They are speaking their language. Okay, it is only when you get to school that English becomes your language. And I can sympathize. Nigeria is about 200 and something languages.
Which is where we have
Which language can you? So it is good to use English. More so that we have been colonized by the British people. That's why we are not speaking French. We were colonized by English people, and they have to talk to us, and they have to give. I know, but is that we? The colonial masters, are they we? That I should speak English, I'm speaking it. Does it mean I should not speak my native language? That's the question. I'm not saying it is wrong to speak English, but unless I can speak my language, what am I talking about? I'm very rude to my colleagues, professors, in conferences. I say, professors, you are illiterate. Oluwole, how can you do this? Are you a professor? I say, yes. I say, you are an illiterate. He will say, no. Are you a Yoruba man? He will say, yes. Give me a sheet of paper in Yoruba, you cannot read and write. Anybody who cannot read and write is an illiterate.
So, Ma, I've heard your comments on vernacular and the fact that vernacular is what it means as a word, something primitive. And I heard your statement that we shouldn't use vernacular as a word to describe our native language. But sadly, that's still the reality in our schools. We still see our native language as vernacular.
And primitive.
I think there was one late Professor Adeboye Babalola, may he rest in peace. He's the professor of African language and dean of faculty of arts. His inaugural lecture is Yoruba is not vernacular.
Yeah.
No language is vernacular. It is my native language. English, if Yoruba is vernacular, English is vernacular, French is vernacular. Vernacular means your native language, and everybody in the world has a native. So why do you call my own vernacular your own? What is it? It is also vernacular. English is vernacular to the English people. So how can my language be vernacular?
I always identify that we have a problem brought on us by the slave masters and the colonialists in that for their own benefits, they amalgamated us and brought us together by force. Before they came, the Yoruba woman found a way to communicate with her Hausa trader. So eventually we would have evolved without them forcing their language on us. But we're in 2017 with over 400 different languages and dialects in Nigeria. How do we move forward our educational system? That's my brother in Gbongan who only understands Yoruba. They will not say because he failed English, he cannot be a scientist. Where is the solution in our educational system for 180 million Nigerians?
Let me go back. Are you educated?
Yes, I am in the formal.
Define education.
In the formal language of.
Are you educated?
Yes, I can read and write.
What the no literacy? That's literacy. What's the meaning of education?
Okay.
Having knowledge in your culture,
Okay.
tradition, and everything that is yours. Are you educated?
Yes, I am.
You are not. You don't know anything about Yoruba people.
Ma, we know what we know our history. We know something about it.
Mommy,
Which lay with that you can't say that.
Gbongan now.
But the point, see, Ma, we're gonna go on a quick break. But one of our objectives from bringing you on the show, Ma, is because we know you've always campaigned for indigenous language.
Please don't insult me. I don't campaign.
Okay.
I teach.
Okay. So we know
campaigning is political nonsense.
So you've always taught that indigenous languages is the way to go, especially if you want to be truly educated. Now, what I want you to help us address is how we can begin to rightfully educate those coming around, the new generation, because we already, as you said, she's not educated. How do I start educating my children to ensure?
Let me tell you that the white man was even better. I started school in 1943.
Okay.
In those days, there were 2 levels of education.
Yes.
Primary and junior primary and senior primary.
Okay.
The first 2 years of education, 100% your language. Primary 1, primary 2, you don't speak 1 word of English. I remember when I was in primary 2, I was dreaming in January I will know the English word for ewure. No, after 2 years, the only thing I'm taught is Yoruba language. Actually, the Yoruba people call it Iwe Ijapa. Ijapa is the tortoise. And you know Yoruba knowledge is put in Yoruba proverbs.
Yes.
So for the first and second year, you are able to read and write in Yoruba and to listen to the stories of Ijapa. It is
Let me
only
pause you
when
for a second, because I have to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll let you continue this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have Professor Sophie Oluwole with us. You were talking before the break how we can actually rightfully begin to educate young people in our indigenous language. And you're telling us a story about the fact that the first 2 years in your own education...
What I'm saying is that if education is knowledge in your culture,
Yes.
there's no way you can understand your culture without your language.
Right.
So the way we were brought up, we were taught in Yoruba language for 2 years. I know Yoruba knowledge and wisdom and Ijapa stories.
Right.
So that was what we learned. That was a particularly interesting one. Ijapa regarded himself as the wisest person in the world. And he doesn't want people to share his views. So one day he put all the wisdom into a bird, a god, and he wanted to tie it on the tree top. So he was climbing and he was falling down. The most stupid animal is the snail. The snail that what is your point? I say, I want to put this thing up. And why are you not able? Why do you put it in front? You cannot climb, put it at the back. Japa discovered that the most stupid person is even wiser than himself.
Right.
So, what I'm saying is that I don't know any culture in the world that has developed. China, Japan, Britain, that did not use their language. The greatest scientist, tell me one that doesn't speak his own language.
Talking about scientists, there was a tweet you're going to read.
Yes, the tweet was from... Oh, 1 minute, please, sorry.
Okay.
He said, Ramaz says, our language has fundamental flaws in that it is not scientific. Our professors should help develop the scientific part of our language.
Do you agree, sir? Do you agree?
How can you develop every aspect of a language you don't speak? Yuyu Gagarin was the first person to go to space. When he was welcome in America, he spoke his language. And for your information, I don't know what this man means by science. The science I was taught is that materialism is the only reality, matter. And that it is everything you put on matter that can give you science. The Yoruba said no, matter and spiritual are inseparable. And the greatest scientists today have clearly declared on the internet that you cannot know science unless you combine the two. Matter and mind, you are non-matter. We call it binary complementarity. Now, that is what the Yoruba people knew. And to say that they are not scientists is very interesting. The Yoruba people were the first people to create quantum physics, which is higher than the systems you were doing before. They are the ones to create computer science, with a FIFA system, binary system. So we were ahead of them in science.
So they took us back.
They took us back. It is only now I discovered that they are now agreeing that binary complementarity is better scientifically, mathematically, and that is our own. And for your information, I am not putting it in the mouth of Yoruba. The Yoruba that I quote is here. What the Yoruba people said, and how they said it. So the Yoruba people were scientists, they were mathematicians ahead of the
Education
the colonialists.
in itself is a process of facilitating learning or acquisition of knowledge.
That's what I'm
We
saying.
found the challenge in our current system where this English has not been able to help us comprehend the knowledge we're trying to pass on.
Yes.
And you've quoted that the most developed countries we have right now had to resort to teaching in their language. You're a professor, man.
Have you heard of Fafonwa before?
Yes.
Professor of Yoruba language at University of Ife.
Yes, sir.
He started a school where the medium of education is pure Yoruba, from primary to secondary. They were teaching them English as a subject, but it's not the medium of teaching. At the end, they did best in work. The man used Yoruba to teach them everything, from primary to secondary, every science, physics, chemistry. They used Yoruba, and they made A1. Understanding is different from speaking English. There's a difference between understanding what I'm saying. There was a youth couple from the north. He went to school and discovered that the children from his village, about 10 in the school, they all fail exams. I come from this village. Why do we fail? So during the holiday, he stopped them. Why are you failing? They say we don't understand what they are saying. So he stayed with them. He taught them in their native language. The next exam, they came number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. The first 10. It was because they don't understand the English you are using. Teach them in their language. Teach them English. I'm not saying you should not speak it.
Some people
but I can understand it better when you explain it in my language.
Some people find this unrealistic. Pastor Yemi is saying on Twitter, if we are to switch to our native language, which one of them do we switch to as a lingua franca? As a lingua franca in the country, because we have about 250 ethnic groups. I think we have
missed it. She has answered the question.
I speak a lot of languages. I speak Yoruba, I speak my language, I speak English. I read the Esako language in Afema. I read well Yoruba language. And I find it confusing when I try to teach my daughter a few of the languages I speak. For instance, at home when I speak the Afema, it sounds strange because my neighbor speaks Yoruba and then I have to balance it all the time to her. Which form would you say would be your first language? Because that would be the process of thinking.
Yes.
A lot of the children today think in English because we've crossed that mark.
There's a question I don't understand. I have a daughter. Which language should she learn? My language.
First.
You speak Yoruba. I can now speak the 250 languages. The children have the right to speak it. Yes. I'm not saying you should teach Yoruba to everybody. Every child must speak the mother tongue. Now, it is then we need, because we are different, that's why I think we need English.
Yes.
I'm not saying speak Yoruba to everybody. After speaking Yoruba or Esako or anything, because we are a country, and for your information, when the white man came and did geography without culture, he just take a map and drew land. He doesn't care how many people are there. That's why they committed suicide. The Yoruba people stay together, Igbo people stay together. We were friendly before. Why do you use geography to put us together, not caring whether we have 200 languages? Is that what they did in Europe? Why the French people not tallying with the Romans and the British? They speak their language yet. They are Europeans. So what are you talking about? So, every child has the right to know the mother tongue.
Right.
Then you can learn others. Then you can learn English as unifying. But to throw away your mother tongue is like committing suicide.
There's a bit of there's a slight challenge that I am facing, and I'm using myself. I'm not speaking for another person. I'm married to an Edo person. I speak Yoruba. My husband speaks Edo. I don't understand. I can greet in Edo, in Isha. He probably can only greet in Yoruba. So we have to communicate in English. My children are already growing up with the only language they're supposed to be in, English.
Why aren't they
so when you
both
carry
languages?
your children home to your parents, what do they speak?
English.
Yes.
Do your parents speak English?
Yes.
If you are lucky, my father did not speak English. I know the late professor of law at Unilag. He was speaking on native. I said, boss, don't worry, my daughter is 9 years old. She doesn't speak Yoruba. From where are you? He said, from Ibadan. 9 years old. So don't you go home? Do you have your mother? Yes, your father. Do they speak English? He said, yes. So when she gets home, how does she first of all greet them? Good morning, Mama. I don't know. The man did not reply.
Somebody was asking you a question, but your name is Sophie.
Yes.
Why Sophie? If you are you're pro-culture,
I like that question.
We'll come when we take where it's going to be. When we come back, we'll let you answer that question.
Okay.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So the question I asked for the break, why are you Sophie?
I was in the primary school during my first 2 years. My headmaster was from Abeokuta. I think I was naughty and stupid and something, so he thought that I was clever. And that was the time I was baptized. He has heard of Sophie before. So he asked my father to name me Sophie. I've not dropped it because I want you to know that I'm mentally decolonized. I'm colonized before. I was mentally colonized. So I must put Sophie to know that I'm not liberal. The mentality is still stupid because the things they told me is still part of me. I want to keep the name to let you know I was mentally colonized before. I'm trying to liberate myself.
Okay.
So it's a teaching. It's a teaching tool. Your name is now a teaching tool because people always ask this question, and you can use it to teach them that.
All right.
Yeah.
You've been there.
So at over 80 and a great grandparent and the first PhD, female PhD in philosophy in Nigeria, you've spoken about the government in different ways. And my question to you, with all of our tribes and religion, how do we correct the imbalance in our governance, in that corruption and everything that we see is because we've been colonized, and the Westerners, the colonialists, still have that much influence on what happens in our government? Ṣé tá bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí fi Ṣàngó swear in our political leaders, things will change?
I don't know which aspect of your question I should answer. If I become the impossible tomorrow Minister of Education, the universities in Nigeria, 36 federal, 36 state, I will turn all of them to colleges of technology. Because of this syllabus we bought from Britain and you are memorizing, has not developed you.
Very true.
You are not learning anything. Let us have technology. Let us learn practical things. It is not a question of, look, when I quote Plato and Aristotle, what have I added to this country? Nothing. So let us decolonize our education. The next thing I will advise that, I'm not saying the first 2 years should be 100% Yoruba or any language, but it should not be ignored.
Okay.
When your child starts school, let him or her learn our native language.
Okay.
Because your culture is in your language.
Very true.
I will give you a simple thing.
Before you give me an example, let me quickly take this call. Elias on Kaduna has been waiting. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm
Please,
still here.
go ahead. Thanks for calling.
Mama Agbanya Daleo,
Àmín Jésù.
ẹ ṣé gan fún gbogbo ìrántí tẹ́ ń pè àtàkìyèsí. Look, Morayo, we can switch on, okay? Mo lo Yorùbá fún kí màmá ni, but I'm a Hausa person.
Oh, really?
I was in the Southwest for a very long time, and I love culture. I can speak Yoruba very well, more than a lot of Yoruba do, and I can still speak my language, and I love my heritage, which is the Hausa language. You see, Morayo, India did it. They switched from the English after the colonialism.
They switched.
They became one of the best programmers in the world today because they were using their language. Their method of teaching English was the best. But at the time for we to change, we refused to change. We believe to adopt the Western culture and become the Westerns. While we are not. We are Africans, like Mama said. We are talking of languages in Nigeria here and there. We can adopt 3 languages, put it into our educational system. Anybody in the Southwest and some part of Southeast can speak Yoruba fluently, like Nima, she's from Edo, but she knows Yoruba very well. The entire minority language in the North can speak Hausa fluently. Igbos, Southeast, will speak Igbo. The minority language within Igbo can speak Igbo fluently. It's simple. We shouldn't be divulging, taking excuses that will deprive us of development.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Elias.
Thank you so much, Elias.
Fantastic
What I hear
point.
from Elias Ma is that we should have 3 major. We already do.
What?
How did we miss
Three major languages.
We already do. But how did we miss it from the Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, major languages, back and switch, get so comfortable speaking English?
You see, this question of 3 minor, 3 major, that's a question of political. The Yoruba man is speaking Yoruba, whether there's Nigeria or not is irrelevant. The Hausa man is speaking, let everybody speak their language. What you put in your textbook, that's your personal problem, whether 3 or 4. No, look, you cannot say because Nigeria is a country, I must learn Hausa, or I must speak my mother tongue. That is why. The one you put in your textbook, that is examination purposes.
Yes.
So, please don't say, you can say anything, I can learn 1, but as long as I can speak my native language, I can learn 10, 20 more. Don't say it is only 3. That is what is a problem of politics in Nigeria.
Yes.
You know, Nigerian
They'll
today,
politicize it.
the presidency of this country is rotated among 3,
Yes.
which is criminal. Is it only 3 people in this country? Is either a Yoruba man, or an Igbo man, or now? That is your personal wahala. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. Everybody is a member of the people.
Yes.
But unfortunately for you, government of the people, by the people, for the people, started in Greece, went to America. It did not include women, no.
At the time.
Until 1948, it's only men, no. But let me give you democracy in the Yoruba language. Àgbà mẹ́rin ló ń ṣèlú.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Àgbà ọkùnrin, àgbà obìnrin, which is not in the West.
Tọmọdé àti.
Àgbà ọmọdé, àgbà àlejò, which is not in the West. Our democracy is better than the Western democracy.
So obviously our
Wait. Let me digest that.
She said
our
that
own democracy is men, women, children, and visitors.
So you're getting the best of everybody
Everybody.
around.
Because there's always
The West
migration.
started with only men. It was in 1948 they included women. Even now they have not included youth. Even foreigner cannot be American president. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ Yorùbá ti fi yín lẹ̀.
Thank you so much. Let's learn our language and understand our values.
I think we can close on that. Yes. Thank you very much, Mom.
You're welcome.
We learned quite a bit from you. God bless you. That's all we can take from the show today. I hope you learned as much as we did. Again, for those that try to become a co-host of Your View, it ends on Friday. Thank you so much for uploading. We're reviewing. Hopefully by next week we'll start to do interviews. I hope to unveil the 2 new co-hosts, hopefully sometime in January. I mean, our first episode in January. All right, our fan pick, yes. We already have some people calling us already that have some gifts items. We're excited about that. So we'll start to shortlist families to start giving out these gifts for Christmas. Thank you so much for those who are supporting us. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.